International shipping and tourists attracted to Lake Superior and the nearby woods have all helped Duluth get beyond its rusty industrial history.
We're about to trace the steps that were taken on that terrible day.
But this year, this city of 90,000 decided to revisit one of the ugliest moments in that history. A week-long public atonement that ended Saturday included vigils, readings, and a silent march.
83 years ago on Sunday, a shameful, tragic, horrific event took place in our city.
It was a lynching, far less likely to occur in a northern city, especially one with less than 500 black citizens.
3 young African-American men were lynched in cold blood for a crime they did not commit. We condemn that act.
On June 15, 1920, rumors spread in the city's working-class and entirely white West End that a young white woman had been raped by black men working for the visiting circus. 6 suspects were rounded up by police and jailed, but a growing mob, many already angry at blacks who were being hired amid local labor unrest, wanted its own justice. Watched by an estimated 10,000 spectators, the mob overran police guards, who were instructed not to shoot. They broke in and pulled out 3 men.
The crowd dragged the young man about a block away, beat them as viciously as you may imagine, and hanged them from a light pole that stood diagonally across the street from where you are now.
It's really a horrible picture, and when you look at it, you can see people crowding into that picture. Probably in the back, people are on tiptoes.
Michael Fido wrote a book about the lynching in 1979. It was recently released again.
You can see people grinning, certainly happy to be there, and probably proud of what they have done. I don't think anybody who would have posed in that picture had any thought at all that this could be evidence against them in a trial.
We do know that only 3 men of the several hundred of those who did this dastardly act were ever convicted and spent 1 year in jail.
Many black residents left Duluth. For years, Maxine Johnson Taylor says no one in the traumatized community talked about it.
No, my mother was too, what happened is it became a shock. So when it happened, she went back. She was from Kentucky. And then she came back and lived here. So it became a mental block.
So you were never told about this?
No, never. And not even from, even though that happened, not even from anyone from the community here. Nothing was said until the 60s.
The civil rights era brought talk of righting historic wrongs, but it was years before any action was taken. In 1991, Duluth began to restore the dignity of the 3 men. They'd laid here in the pauper section of Park Hill Cemetery, anonymous for 7 decades, until their graves were finally marked with footstones. But a diverse committee of residents, including Henry Banks, pushed for fuller reconciliation.
This wasn't something where we were trying to black the eye of Duluth or what have you. We were trying to say, we don't want to blame anyone for their actions. We want to heal from their actions, and we want to make sure that our community becomes the best place it possibly can become.
The task became easier as the generation that witnessed the lynching faded into history.
I think people don't have so much a personal stake in it as they did, say, 20, 25 years ago, when it would be brought up and people would be upset because they had an uncle or a neighbor or a grandfather who had been there and had participated.
It may be easier to talk about in Duluth today, but some, like Leon Paquette, don't think the observances were necessary.
I wish that we would forgive, forget, and let it lie. I don't believe in bringing things up from so long ago. It happened, it's done with, and I'm sure that it's too bad, but it happened. Should never happen, but amen.
But many of the others we spoke to at the West End Veterans of Foreign Wars post were far more supportive.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's way late in coming. Should have been there long, long, long time ago.
It's a very good idea. They didn't do nothing wrong to begin with.
And there are signs that views in the West End have changed with the times, even if some language hasn't.
I'm involved with the Minnesota Senior Federation, And we have colored people that belong to that, and I've gotten to know them real well. And we have another lady that lives in our area, and she's colored. I don't think I could find a better friend in the world than she is. And down to earth, a lot of fun. So I believe that there must be a lot of those people just like us.
While there's little outspoken opposition, event organizers worry about indifference. Crowds, for example, in the low hundreds, were just a fraction of those who showed up for the lynching. High school senior Eddie Glenn, a model for a bronze memorial to the 3 murdered men, hopes it will lead to more interaction across racial lines.
There really isn't any conflict anymore. It's just there's still a lack of understanding, and there's still, segregation among the cultures. That really just stems from not understanding and not really caring to understand, and that's what I'd like to see change.
The bronze sculpture will be unveiled sometime in October.